All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and man, it is good to say we have some great news. Daron Payne is finally back. Well, technically, this is his first day at training camp, but he's back with the team for the first time, technically, since mandatory minicamp. He was dealing with a very minor toe injury, and now he's back full go, participating in team drills, all of that type of stuff. Again, I told y'all for the past couple of days, don't worry. Like I said, it was the type of situation where it seemed like if he had to play a game today, he would be straight. But we're gonna dive into Daron Payne and why having him back was huge, but also on the other side, why him being gone for a couple of days was helpful to a lot of the other defensive linemen behind him in the depth chart. Also, Kevin Durant is at Washington Commanders training camp practice. Like literally right now as I'm recording this, he's there. So I'm gonna try to give y'all some clips of that as well, and just talk about how interesting that is. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, make sure you stiff arm the subscription button and the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. This one's going to be a shorter video, and then of course later I'm working on the clips and all of this stuff from practice, the fans being there, Kevin Durant, the guys practicing, everything like that. And then of course I'm going to do my complete breakdown of every position group and analysis from everything that happened in training camp today. So make sure you stay tuned for all three of these videos coming out today. And again, I'm still working on film sessions for the rookie class. I'm still working on a Rico report that I'm gonna get out to y'all as soon as I can. I have a lot of other clips that I'm ready to just throw out there on any day that it's just like a little dead period where we're not getting much Commanders news. So man, make sure you stay tuned. Infinite content coming out. There's no reason I'm not uploading at least 2 videos a day because there's just so much going on. I have so many topics to talk about, like Chase Young, Rivera saying he's back. That's gonna be an entirely different separate video on its own. Bunch of stuff like that. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get to it.
You tell your family you're gonna be a commander.
All right, so again, Daron Payne is here. First day of training camp for him specifically. This is the third day of training camp for everybody else, and I'm just really happy to see him back. I'm gonna do like a big time injury update, of course, like I do every training camp analysis breakdown video where I go position group by position group. We start with the injury report, and then we also talk about the coaches, and then we go to quarterback, and we work our way all the way down to the DBs, literally going position group by position group. And in that injury report, I'm also going to update y'all on Daron Payne again, and by then Daron Payne would have practiced and we would have seen him, how he's moving and stuff like that. But on his entrance into the training camp, like while he's exiting where everybody, the locker room where they all get dressed and ready to go, the facilities and everything, walking out to the practice field past fans, he looks good. I mean, I don't see any noticeable limp or anything. You would never know that he had a toe injury, in my opinion, the way he looks. But here's the clip right here if you want to look at it yourself.
All the way from down south, number 94, Payne, Daron, Payne!
So yeah, again, I think he looks pretty good. Again, that toe injury, I felt like they held him out the first couple of days because it just wasn't worth it. There's no padded practice anyway. There's no reason to risk your 4-year, $90 million defensive tackle getting hurt on just some random practice days that aren't even that intense. They're not even installing any serious stuff, because anytime the fans are able to watch the practice, they strongly discourage y'all from recording like actual plays. You can record a lot of the warm-ups, individual drills and stuff like that, but they discourage y'all from recording the actual plays for a reason. But even then, they don't trust y'all. I mean, some plays still end up leaking to the internet, people posting stuff on their Twitters and stuff like that. So they just don't even really run anything serious like that anyway. So these first couple of practices, especially the second one with the fans out there, they didn't really do a lot anyway. There was not much for Daron Payne to miss. I mean, of course, just getting back into the habit and the motion of practicing, doing team drills, not just simply working out and lifting weights like we've been seeing clips of him doing throughout the offseason. Now it's like, you know, not real helmets and pads, but like the shell on, and you're going against an offensive lineman in front of you now, and not just some random dummy that you're just practicing against. So, I mean, there are benefits to him being there, but it wasn't worth making that toe injury worse than it already is. And again, the Commanders look like they made the right decision, because right now it looks like he's good to go. Now, Daron Payne, man, I'm so excited. I feel like this is a good time to just talk about how great of a season he had in 2022 and why I expect greatness out of him in 2023. Again, with the way that this secondary looks like it's going to be vastly improved from last year. First of all, just better communication. Everybody's gaining better chemistry with each other. And then you throw in Emmanuel Forbes and Quan Martin. That speed, explosion, length, quickness, all of that. I can't see how the secondary will not be, at the very least, improved from last year, and arguably one of the best position groups on this team. I think it's going to be the wide receiver group, defensive line, and the secondary. And I say all of that to say that with this secondary being better, the Commanders will finally start to get some coverage sacks. Like, that's unheard of for the Commanders. If our defensive linemen are getting sacks, it's because they earned it and got to the quarterback in less than 3 seconds. But now with our secondary looking like it's going to be way better, I think guys like, most notably, Daron Payne are going to have better statistical seasons, because the quarterback's going to have to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, hesitate a little bit and things like that, because guys just simply won't be open. And that's going to allow guys, Daron Payne, who are like maybe a step or two away from getting more sacks throughout the season, now they'll actually be able to get there, again, with the secondary much improved. So that's great, man. I'm really excited about that. Like I already said, I think the secondary is just going to make our defensive line, everybody's overalls are just going to go up. The defensive line is going to make our secondary better. The secondary is going to make the defensive line better. The secondary just being improved is, I think you can add at the very least 3 to 5 overall points to every defensive lineman, because I'm telling you, everybody's sack numbers, all of their pressure numbers, everything is going to increase, because quarterback's going to have to hold on to the ball longer. But just looking at Daron Payne specifically, I mean, last year was a phenomenal year. 64 tackles, 11.5 sacks, and then, you know, he's pass deflection king out of our entire defensive line. He had 5 of those last year. I mean, he was different, and he's a replacement player for Aaron Donald to the 2023 Pro Bowl, which was his first Pro Bowl. Last year was a special season. He even had 5 All-Pro votes. None of them were first-team votes, but he had 5 second-team votes, and that's great to hear, man, because that means he had more votes than Grady Jarrett and DeForest Buckner. He was right behind Javon Hargrave, behind Aaron Donald, of course behind Jonathan Allen and some others, but he was one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL last year. And again, like I've already said, him and Jonathan Allen are the best defensive tackle duo in the NFL. Bucky Brooks even agrees, and he has no attachment to the Commanders. He has no reason to be biased. He even agrees. Pro Football Focus, I feel like, said the same thing, I believe. It's just, man, Daron Payne is just one of a crazy duo. That duo is insane. And even going back to Daron Payne, again, like I mentioned earlier, he earned that 4-year, $90 million extension that we gave him back in March 13th. Phenomenal 2022 year. I'm expecting him to have an even better one going into this year. And then also, before we move on to Kevin Durant being in practice, again, would have been nice to have Daron Payne at the first couple of practices, especially for the fans that went to the practice yesterday, as in Thursday, and then he wasn't there, and then they won't have a chance to go to any other practices, so they didn't have a chance to see Daron Payne in person and things like that. But I mean, y'all get to see him at games, preseason games and things like that, but that's really the only negative. Other than that, I see a big silver lining, because that allowed guys like Fadarian Mathis to really get a chance to get some starting level snaps and show what he can do and develop, because again, this is technically like his redshirt freshman year, if we're talking in college terms. Like, he barely played last year, played some preseason, he was there all through training camp and things like that, but he got hurt like in the first quarter of the first game of the 2022 season against the Jaguars. So it's almost as if like this is a free draft pick for us. Like, if you're looking at the 2023 draft class, you almost throw Fadarian Mathis in there, because we didn't get to use him last year. And so with him missing all of that time, the more chances that he gets to play with the starters, with the ones against the ones, that's only going to help his development and expedite the process of him becoming a better defensive tackle. And like I already said, he's going to be a double team eater. He's going to be that nose tackle when we have 5 defensive linemen out there, so that Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, and Chase Young can all see less double teams, and even sometimes go on block, depending on how the offensive line blocks it up. But at the same time, I feel like if Jonathan Allen needs a rest, if Daron Payne needs a rest, Fadarian Mathis can come in and just play normal 3-tech like those guys, and literally just 4 defensive linemen take the place of one of those interior defensive linemen. Because Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne played way too many snaps last year. They were like in the 90% of snaps and a lot of games last year, if not all of them, at the very least most of them. And that's not common for defensive linemen. Defensive linemen require way more rest than that. We kind of you know, ran the tires a little bit on them and definitely like shortened their career expectancy type of thing. So I don't want to keep doing that. I don't want that to be a common theme. And also, when defensive linemen are able to rest more, they come back out and they're more explosive on a per snap basis. Because if they're out there just tired and just taking up space because we don't have other interior defensive linemen that could allow them to rest and still not miss a step, and that's what Phidarian Mathis provides to this team potentially, then that's going to allow them to be more explosive when they are out there instead of just dragging their feet and just going through the motions and just huffing and puffing. So I'm expecting Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne to improve, maybe not overall statistically because they're not going to be on the field as much, but at the very least on a per snap basis to be far more effective. We're looking at advanced stats like pressure rate per rush and things like that, like per rush statistics, they should be way better this year with Phidarian Mathis in the rotation. And again, him getting starting level snaps in practice with Daron Payne out, I'm pretty sure that meant the world to him and made a world of a difference. Now that Daron Payne's back, he's going back to basically being part of the rotation and mostly going against the second team, but I'm pretty sure he appreciates those first team snaps he got yesterday. And then John Ridgeway, I mean, whenever a starter is out, everybody moves up. So now John Ridgeway goes from like the second backup defensive tackle to the primary backup defensive tackle when Daron Payne wasn't there. And then you also have guys like Abdullah Anderson and David Bada and Benning Patoa moving up the depth chart whenever Daron Payne was out. So everybody just gets to get improved snaps, more chances to show what they could do and improve as players. So I think there's a strong silver lining to guys like Daron Payne being out. Of course, you want your starters out there as much as possible, but that's helpful experience that you can't replace that. You can't mimic that in any way. You can't create that in any other way other than just throwing them out there against the ones with the ones. And I love the fact that the Commanders simulate that anyway. Like, they force the issue. Even if there are no injuries, there may be times they just throw Phidarian Mathis out there with the starters against the starters just so he can, you know, you got to go against and with the starters to show that you truly belong. If you're out here as a third stringer only balling out against third stringers, that doesn't mean you have the right to play in a regular season game against other team starters. So I love the fact that we simulate that. And then also, before we get up out of here, that boy Kevin Durant was not playing. He pulled up to the second fan allowed practice. He wasn't there yesterday with the first one. The first training camp practice on Wednesday, no fans allowed. Then Thursday was the first day fans were allowed. And then today, the second day that fans are allowed. And Kevin Durant is there. Of course, there's all of this paparazzi stuff going on. The fans are excited. It's really cool. And remember, back a few months ago, Kevin Durant really wanted to be a part of the ownership group. He said, quote, "In a perfect world, I would be part of it." Durant told ESPN, "I would love to do it. I would love to give a little bit of my money to be part of the Commanders, but we'll see. Hopefully it's somebody nice," unquote. So when he was talking about who may potentially buy the team, this is before like Josh Harris even became the front runner and things like that. This is all the way back in November 2022. Now that ended up not happening, but that just goes to show that Kevin Durant is as diehard of a Redskins, Washington football team, Washington Commanders fan, burgundy and gold fan as it can get. He's one of the like top ones, one of the faces of our fan base. And so, man, I'm just really happy to see him out there at practice. I know a lot of people that were out there at practice appreciated seeing him. And hey, man, that man does not play about his burgundy and gold, boy. He does not. So here's a couple of clips to end the video, seeing him at practice. I'm gonna also include these same clips when I do the clips of the whole training camp practice, what went down today. But for this video, since I'm talking about Kevin Durant, I might as well go ahead and throw those clips in here right now. So this is pretty much the end of the video. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the clips up there, and then I'm gonna end the video right after we're done with that.
Let's go, KD. Let's go, KD. Yes, sir. Let's get it. Yes, sir.
So yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Also, please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Again, stay tuned because I'm coming out with like literally 2-3 videos, maybe even 4 depending on what's going on a day. Literally. Training camp, this is like the height of like coverage when it comes to the team. I mean, I would argue even the regular season is a little bit slower as far as things happening when it comes to reporting on the team. So I mean, because with regular season games, I mean, of course y'all come from my analysis, but at least you saw the same thing, whereas training camp, a lot of it is not really seen by the public, so y'all literally rely on me for all of the information typically for the most of y'all. So hey man, I gotta get busy right now. This is the time to get to work. And so man, I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, name you see scrolling on the screen right now. And again, please engage with the channel, leave comments about whatever you're feeling. I'm trying to reply to as many comments as I can. I was able to reply to a bunch of them yesterday while I wasn't at home. So whenever I get any downtime, I'm not working on videos, I'm not busy with something else, I'm replying to comments. So please do that. And also leave a like on this video, or dislike it if you dislike it. I prefer for you to leave a dislike than to do nothing before you leave this video. So I really appreciate it. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.